What's up, guys? Back here working on the K1 Attack. Last time we got that rear suspension all kind of taken care of. If you watched my Mini Cooper episode, you saw that I actually pulled the engine out of it, but in these videos you'll see that it's still in there if you notice that, because it was actually taken right before I did that. But in any case, we're going to try to tackle the steering and the brake booster and see what we get accomplished. So let's get to it. Okay, so on one of the previous episodes, I talked about how I put this rack in, kind of mocked it up, and then realized that this rack is actually leaking and I needed a different one. So I got this other one off of a junkyard car. Tire rod ends are all screwed up. So I got to take these off here and let me show you something pretty cool. Okay, now, obviously there's other ways to do this since the rack is out of the car, but if the rack was in the car, this tool is fantastic if you guys have never had one before or never seen one. So basically, to get this inner tie rod end off, you can kind of see here, let's see if I can get the angle right. Here we go. Right there, there's that washer. You basically just have to tap those ends down, and then you got to take this loose. Well, there are indentations here, so you can put a big wrench if you have something like that. But if you're in the car, there's not a good way to do it. So I've got this tool. It's a Blue Point tool. It's like this WW500. Not sponsored by them. Don't really care. Just showing you guys cool stuff here. But basically, it just slides on here, and then you just put a wrench on here. And I'm not going to say this is not going to take some effort, because it does. But it makes things a lot easier when you're in the car. Let's see if I can do this. Look at that. And that tie rod end just coming right out of there. Hell yeah. Okay, so I got the other rack painted up. I put the tie rod ends off the other rack on here because they're still good, and the boots and all that stuff. So now it's sitting in here, and of course, I went to put the bolts in, and of course, all these holes, one's there, the ones over there. Yeah, the bolts that they provided don't fit in there, so I have to drill the holes out. Because why would they fit? Okay, finally got those in there. I actually, off camera, I ended up having to take this back out a couple different times and drill that out, because even after drilling those holes out, it still wouldn't fit. Like, the holes are in like the wrong spots or something. I don't know, it's stupid, but that's bolted in there. So now I was kind of looking at the tie rod ends, and so they gave me, these extension pieces, which I kind of showed you guys before, and then there was these tie rod ends in these boxes that were for a Golf. And I mean, obviously this is the way it's supposed to go. The problem I'm having is that, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on this camera, is that yeah, that's really long, and I checked both sides. It's not like the steering rack's one angled or another. So I'm thinking I'm probably gonna have to end up cutting this down to make it work. And I don't know if that's how they intended it to be or what, but it's the only way that I see it's gonna work. Okay, so this is what I came up with. I backed this nut off all the way so you can kind of see how deep this thing's gonna go in there. Obviously the threads only go to about here. So I'm gonna put the threads somewhere in there. I'll cut it off. Then I'll still have adjustment this way. I think I'm actually going to end up having to cut this, which this is threaded all the way down to here. But I think if I cut it off somewhere in here, I think it'll get me about in the ballpark where I need to be. So, unfortunately, I think that's what's going to have to happen. Alright, so I got this side on there, got it lined up. The other side, yeah, just like I figured, I can't get it's not gonna work. With this on there, it's just gonna be, it's just too damn long. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is, I'm gonna have to cut about this much off of this, and then I'm gonna have to cut the same amount off the tie rod ends. God, what a pain in the ass. All right, got those both on there. Everything actually lines up. We're sitting, this, I mean, obviously I don't have, you know, any strings out there, but I'd say this one's a little bit towed out. This one might be also a little bit towed out. I mean, obviously it'll be sitting differently when it's on the ground and stuff, but I think that'll work, because I've got just a little bit of play right there, and obviously I can go a hell of a lot the other way, but yeah, I think that'll work. I mean, if worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, I guess I can cut them down just a little bit more, but overall, good deal. Okay, so I was looking into the fuel tank, and I already knew that this thing was gonna have to be modified, because they sent me the wrong one, clearly, because this is not even remotely close to what a Honda Accord is supposed to be set up with, and I'm assuming this is some sort of sending unit, which just doesn't make any sense. But the biggest problem is, even if I was to modify these top pieces, it doesn't fit back in there, because apparently the only way to get this fuel cell in there is with the floor off. And there's no way in fucking hell I'm taking the floor back off. And I've tried everything I can to sneak it in there and try to make it fit, and there's just no way. So either I'm gonna end up modifying that a great deal to make it work in here, or I'm gonna end up getting a fuel cell. And that's kind of what I've been messing with. I was using these panels to kind of see how it originally was supposed to be, and then kind of see, you know, if I can just modify this, cut it back, put a bigger fuel cell. I don't know. Obviously, I want as much foot room as I can have, but, you know, realistically, this is the passenger side. If they're uncomfortable, not my problem, because I'm the driver. But, yeah, so, I mean, yeah, I'm going to try and make it as big as I can, but it's definitely, the space is limited, for sure. And that's obviously why this was the way it was. The other thing I was kind of looking at is this this closeout panel here. It kind of sits up in there like that. It blows my mind. They didn't even, like, they didn't drill a hole or anything. Like, they just were like, here's a panel, good luck. So I got to figure that out now. All right, so I drilled a hole through there. Just kind of guessing, really. So it lines up here, but like down here, it's like really, I don't know, it doesn't line up flat. And I think it's because there's like it's hard to see, but that rear bracket, you can kind of see right there. It sticks out a little bit further. So it's kind of pushing against it. So I think I'll be okay just like pushing it down and riveting it in. And then I shouldn't have any problems with it, but I think realistically, instead of riveting it, I might do riv nuts, because I got a feeling everything on this car is going to have to come off like a million times. Plus I got to paint this anyway. So I think I'll start drilling some holes kind of where I want it, and then I'll work on riv nutting it in. Okay, so I got those 2 bolts in there. I ran out of riv nuts. I had to order some more, so I'll probably do one here, do a few across the bottom, maybe somewhere in there. But yeah, you can kind of see now, like what I was talking about, how it's kind of flimsy down here. But I think once I bolt it down, it won't be a problem. It'll stay where it needs to stay. So that's at least figured out. Okay, next order of business is the brake booster, which I've worked on before, and I kind of showed you guys. This was the 03 to 07 Accord, way too big, did not fit at all. This was a 06 to 11 Civic. I think this was like a base model one. Specifically, B Racing said an SI booster, but I would not imagine that it would be any different in diameter. I ended up giving it just kind of a dent right here. I checked it with vacuum to make sure it was still sealed, and it is. So I think it's still gonna work, hopefully. If it's messed up, I guess I can just get another one, because my plan is, I'm going to notch this right here. I'm going to cut these out, cut it down to here. I'm going to flip it and then weld it back in, so I got a nice C notch out of there, so the booster will actually sit in there without needing that dent, hopefully. Okay, so this is what I got going on now. I cut that section out, and then I've got this piece of metal that's gonna go in there. I cut slits into here and then hammered these down, so I've got this nice angled there, so it's easier to weld. So then I can just, yeah, we're gonna weld this bitch back up. Alright, got that all patched up. I'm not gonna say it's the prettiest welds in the world. I definitely had to patch some holes that were the size of the Grand Canyon. You can see everything fits now. And this is actually the 03 to 07 Accord booster, which is bigger than the other one. And this one fits, so the other one's definitely gonna fit, which I already test fitted that too, but it's getting painted right now. So, awesome. Now I just need to throw some paint on that spot and we can put the booster in. All right, so I'm waiting for paint to dry. You can see, so this is where the booster goes. You can see back here, this is where the rod's supposed to go through to the pedal. And obviously, there's no hole there. So I'm gonna mark this, cut that out, and then I'll have a clear shot to that. I still have no idea what I'm gonna do for linkage through there. The company was really not much help. They were just like, yeah, check out the videos. And I checked out the videos and there's literally no mention of it. So I don't know, but we'll figure it out later. Okay, there's the booster and the master cylinder in there. You can kind of see that hole that I drilled back there. That's still kind of wet, but yeah, it's in there. I might take that booster back off because honestly I did kind of a real quick paint job on it. It's not the best, but other than that, yeah, it fits, so that's a plus. Now I can actually like start working on the brakes and stuff. I've got this proportioning valve. I don't know where I'm gonna put that yet, but yeah, that might be it for today. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's gonna be it on this one. I feel like I got a lot accomplished. I mean, it was a lot of the same kind of stuff with the other videos where nothing fits and I gotta modify everything, but it's kind of par for the course at this point. So if I actually, you know, get a part on the car, even if it requires hours of modification, it's still forward progress. So I'm still okay with that. And, you know, honestly, I have, you know, I've got a bunch more on here now, so I have other things that I can work on. Is like one of the next things I kind of want to tackle is doing the brake lines. I have like the brake hoses and that proportioning valve that I showed you guys. I need to pick up some brake line and then maybe some fittings. Then I can kind of run that. I still have no idea how I'm going to hook up that linkage. I'm going to have to see if I can find somebody online, maybe in one of the forums that has this set up. But the problem is I haven't found anybody with this brake setup. Everybody that has the K1 Attack has the older style, and the older style, instead of having the brake booster here, it's actually on the firewall. Like, this is all metal and it's sitting up there. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna have to do with that. I mean, it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, it's basically I just gotta connect a piece of rod linkage to that brake pedal. So I don't know, hopefully it isn't too bad. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today. So like, subscribe, do all the things, and peace out.